Hello, my name is Christopher Renstrom, and I'm your weekly horoscope columnist here on Astrology Hub. And this week, I wanted to talk to you about Jupiter, the planet of good fortune and higher purpose, turning retrograde on July 28th. Now, I want you to think for a moment, think back for a moment, to remember the last time that you had a wish fulfilled, the last time when you experienced a prayer being answered, or an act of kindness at a time when you really needed it. What was that feeling like? What did you think about yourself and about the world? Chances are you felt like it was an act of providence. You felt as if some sort of like higher agency, maybe from above or expressed in your fellow man or woman, was coming through for you in a way that was very special, in a way that was more than charitable, in a way that was beneficial, in a way that transformed your world from feeling like you were at the bottom of the heap to like you are on top of the world, celebrating all the good things that there were and are in life. You might have felt vindicated. You might have felt delivered. You might have felt like for the first time, you could really believe in things that were bigger and greater than yourself. Some of you might have felt as if an invisible hand suddenly was guiding you out of the darkness and into the light. These are the things that we all attribute. These are the things that we all associate with the planet Jupiter, the planet of good fortune and higher purpose. Now, I want to point out how the two actually work in tandem. A lot of times when we think of good fortune, we think of a lucky break, something that happens which is miraculous. It's good. I never expected such a thing. This is so wonderful, like maybe you won the lottery or you found $100 bill on the street or someone offered to pay for your schooling out of nowhere. Things like that, things that feel lucky and feel like fortune is smiling on us, and when these sorts of things happen, some of us might be like, oh, wow, that's great. And we go and collect our winnings and, think about all the things we're going to buy in our life and the people that we're going to help out and the family members that we're going to provide for. And maybe those that we might reject because they gave us such a hard time when we were down and out and they were like miserably mean. Well, okay, but not all of us have great transformations of our conscience into something that's good, but most of us do. When something good happens to us, we suddenly see the world bathed in a heavenly light. We suddenly see the world bathed in a heavenly light of benevolence, where something good has come into our lives, and we naturally want to turn around and reward those who we felt had always been in our corner, who believed in us when we doubted the most, who stood by us through the really tough times. Okay, these are things that we sort of feel when good fortune tumbles into our life. But what can also happen, and I sort of alluded to it before, when there is a stroke of good fortune that takes place in your life, your gaze moves upwards, your gaze moves outwards, your gaze becomes suddenly, it takes in a larger picture. The world goes from being a very myopic, very small place where you're fighting for the things that you want and feeling defeated and frustrated and like everything has to be really hard and difficult, to all of a sudden the blinders open up. Okay, the world seems like it's a marvelous place. It's a great place. Like I can't believe the world that I lived in was so miserable, because now that these good things have happened, the world is such a wonderful place. This is Jupiter. Okay, Jupiter expands our horizons. It raises our consciousness and it lifts our sights above. Okay, we naturally look up to heaven or out into a world of benevolence when good things happen. Again, This is the power of Jupiter. This is the influence of Jupiter. This is what Jupiter does when it is activated in your chart or when it's transiting over a particular patch of sky in your chart. So, what happens when that stops happening? What happens when the prayers go unanswered? What happens when the wishes are left unfulfilled? What happens when you need kindness and someone just gives you the cold shoulder and walks past? Okay. What happens when all of the good things that have happened in our life suddenly run out or come to a standstill? That's often what occurs when Jupiter turns retrograde in the sky. Jupiter entered the zodiac sign of Aries. I believe it was like last March or Aprilish. And right now it's turning retrograde. So when Jupiter entered Aries earlier this year, those people born under Aries or Leo or Sagittarius, certainly the fire signs, might have felt all of a sudden a gumption, a drive, a motivation to go out and do something that was great and wonderful. There might have been a tremendous courage or confidence. You might have felt very emboldened, and you might have started off on a totally different path. You know, you might have initiated something or begun an enterprise or done something pioneering, all things that are connected to the zodiac sign of Aries. And this, by the way, would also have affected people born under the zodiac signs of Gemini and Aquarius. All of a sudden, it might have been, there's a brave new world and I want to go out and encounter it. Okay, that feeling of Jupiter coming into a sign, your own sign, or a sign that works very well with your own sign, one of the signs that I listed, that feeling of Jupiter coming on into your sign is really like a wind coming in and filling a sail. You know, imagine yourself on a skiff and you have a sail and you open up the sail and the wind comes in and it fills that sail and you go zipping across the lake or zipping across that large body of water. You know, the wind is at your back, you're looking forward, you know, you're seeing far horizons, you feel like you could sail anywhere, you're moving at an accelerated speed, and you're taking in the wind and feeling very adventurous. Okay, well, a Jupiter retrograde, as I said, that's the period of time when Jupiter pulls the plug on all that good fortune. Jupiter retrograde, you can almost think of as a change in the direction of the wind, where the sail was once billowing and full and you were moving quickly at an accelerated pace, looking forward to visiting distant shores. Now the wind has changed, the sail has dropped, and you're stuck there in the middle of this body of water, wondering how the hell you're going to get back home again. Okay, so that's pretty much what the Jupiter retrograde on July 28th is going to feel like. Although probably you've been feeling a sort of gradual slowing down and acceleration over the past couple of weeks. But by July 28th, it's going to be coming to a standstill or be at a standstill. So the great question is, what is your relationship to good fortune now? The question is, what is your relationship to higher purpose now that the wind has gone out of your sails? Are you, easy come, easy go? I wasn't really expecting it to last. I mean, I'm always grateful for a lucky break, and now that it's run its course, okay, I'll go on to the next thing. All right, that might be one response. Another response might be like, it's going to come back. It's going to come back. The wind's going to come back. If I sit here and I wait long enough, and if I'm very good, or I think good thoughts, or I say silent prayers, or I hold people in my mind with positive visualization, that wind will come back. That wind will come back and it will fill my sails and good things will happen again. Or there might be a third response, which is, damn you heavens! You may rail at the heavens, you may curse your misfortune, you may bellow about how you were misled and duped into believing such a thing, and how you knew better, how you were better off being a cynic or a skeptic, and how could you have been fooled by such a thing, and you never will again. You know, you may be all sorts of angry about your drop in fortune. Or there may be others of you who might be despondent, who might say, well, that was it. It didn't do much, but at least it was something. But that was it. And now I've been lost. And now I don't know what to believe. I'm lost. I'm disappointed. I'm despondent. I'm going to curl into a little ball on my little skiff. Maybe I'll write a little note that says help and save me. And I'll put it in this bottle and I'll throw it out into the body of water from my little skiff and await here for hope to arrive one day. These are legitimate reactions to all of a sudden fortune abandoning you and leaving you high and dry. But what does it do to your belief in a higher purpose? Do you believe that God has betrayed you? Railing at the heavens. Do you believe that fate is fickle? And that it's not to be trusted. And it's good to have a good sense of humor about it, but it's not worth taking things too seriously. Do you feel like fate is a trickster, a cheat, luring you away from the things that you knew you believed all along and making a fool of you? Or do you feel like fate or fortune is just cruel? It gives you something good, but it gives you something good just to beat you down again. So it's cruel and it's thankless, and why do we have to live with such a thing? These are all sorts of things that we can feel. Basically, it comes from when things are going well. You're on top of things and you feel like it can go on forever and it's great. And when things don't go well, you curse, what's been thrown at you, and you look at your life through a very, very dark gaze. Okay. Again, these are all things affected by the movements of Jupiter in your chart. Jupiter, like Saturn, is a planet of tests. We look at Jupiter as good fortune and Saturn as bad fortune. Jupiter is the hand that gives, and Saturn is the hand that taketh away. Okay, so Jupiter gives and Saturn takes away, holds back, withdraws, keeps it away from you. You can't have this. Okay, that's Saturn. But they are both planets of testing. Now, Saturn we're used to as a planet of tests because, as I said before, Saturn withdraws. It holds things. It makes us work very hard for the thing that we want. And when we get it, there's always some sort of like rub or fly in the ointment, and Saturn sends us back working to hard again to go and achieve the thing that we want, because we found out that it wasn't enough or it wasn't going to last us or something along those lines. Saturn is always a harsh taskmaster, and it's always testing us and putting obstacles in our path. We're used to that with Saturn. What we're not really used to with Jupiter is a test of faith, a test of belief, a test perhaps even of hope. Okay, these are the things that Jupiter tests us with. We get good things when Jupiter's direct, but the plug is pulled on those good things when Jupiter turns retrograde. And that's the real question. That's the real test. That's the real thing that Jupiter is interested in. Now that these good things have been taken away from you, do you still have faith in me, Jupiter, the planet of benevolence and faith? Do you still have belief in me, Jupiter, the planet of belief? Do you still have faith in your hope, Jupiter, the planet of benevolence and hope and deliverance? Do you still have those things? And most importantly, do you still have your humanity? And what I mean by humanity when I'm bringing in the idea of Jupiter is that Jupiter is the humanitarian planet. It's the planet of philanthropy. It's the planet that gives to those who don't have that much, and it works to benefit them. This is what Jupiter does. And so when Jupiter turns retrograde, are you going to feel suddenly abandoned? Are you going to feel deluded? Are you going to feel like it wasn't worth traveling this new path, starting this new enterprise, following a calling? You've lost your way. You don't believe in the calling anymore. And if you turn your back on that, indeed, you have not passed the test of faith. And it's a very difficult test because we don't know if we're being asked to have faith in something or if we're being foolhardy. Both can be very similar in terms of their feel and in terms of their flavor. But during this time that Jupiter's retrograde, during this time when you feel like you've lost your momentum, when you've lost your feeling of hope, of faith and belief, Jupiter's going to ask you, do you turn back and go the way you came, or do you persevere? Do you keep going? Do you say, I liked that path that I was on. I felt for the first time when I received that calling that I was responding to something that was larger and better than me. I liked believing in those things that I could see myself doing one day and that I was starting to feel like I could do one day. I liked that. I liked that vision of me. I liked the world when I was in that place. And now that things aren't coming as easily, or now that I might feel even abandoned, I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to keep on going because I liked that. The glimpse of myself as a better person, or an inspired person, or someone with a place to go and things to do in my life, it might be squashed right now. You know, the blinders might have narrowed again, but I want to open those blinders, okay? I want to open that world. I'm not going to just rely on the lucky break and the stroke of fortune. I'm going to carry that within myself. I am going to carry that lit candle inside of myself, even though I'm surrounded by winds that may blow it out, circumstances that cast long shadows, and terrain that is very difficult to traverse. I'm going to carry that. I'm going to carry that because that's what I believe in. And I'm going to do something more. I'm going to take a leap of faith. Leaps of faith. We often think that in order to have faith, we have to have trust, we have to have belief, we have to have confidence, we have to have guarantees. You know, that if we hold on to a scripture, or if we hold on to a sacred writing or sacred text, or we cleave to a mantra, we're going to get through this. But when you take a leap of faith, you don't need the scripture. You don't need the sacred text. You don't need the mantra, because a leap of faith is asking you to step out of the way that you conventionally believed the world to work. Okay, the things that sort of worked for you before, but now they're not working like that anymore. The leap of faith asks you to come to the precipice, and to look at a vast nothingness, okay? Nothing in front of you, to look down and nothing below you. And here you are on the edge of this precipice, and it's asking you to close your eyes and leap, okay? Leap out into the void, leap out into the place where you don't have the answers. Leap out into the place where you never formulated those prayers. Leap out into the place where wishes, I can't even remember my wishes. Leap out into the unknown. This is the beauty of Jupiter retrograde. It's the beauty of Jupiter in Aries, you know, to go and do something completely heroic. This isn't letting go. This is leaping. This is taking a running jump and leaping out into the unknown in the hopes that you will get to where you believe you should be, in the hopes that you will get to the place where you knew that you were being called to come, in the hopes that you get to the place where you know has always been meant for you. Take that leap of faith. Take that leap of faith, and you might just like where you land when Jupiter turns direct again on November 23rd.
Are you looking for personalized guidance? Do you have questions about what you're meant to do and be in this lifetime? What you need in intimate relationships to really thrive? Or what major themes you'll be working with in the months to come? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you'll want to check out our personalized character and destiny and year ahead reports. These reports are perfect for you if you want professional insight into your astrology chart or year ahead. Written by internationally renowned astrologer Adrienne Ross Duncan. Your character and destiny report provides deep insight into who you are and what you came here to do, your biggest strengths and challenges, and how your astrological design impacts your career and relationships. The Essential Year Ahead report gives you insights into the major themes you'll be exploring in your career, your love life, personal development, and much more. For only $37, you can get your personalized astrology report delivered straight to your inbox within minutes. Just go to astrologyhub.com/reports to get yours today. That's astrologyhub.com/reports.